So we didn't avert, we've ended the shutdown, except we haven't. Nowhere near, not even close. The House will vote, but Hakeem Jeffries is already saying we're very much against. Thomas Massey, he doesn't vote for anything. So, how close is this going to be? I'm Tony Katz. The show is Tony Katz Today. This from Oliva is the master blend right there. Come on. There it is. Oh, just came in. Very excited. I'm Tony Katz. Did I say that? Yes, I did. Let's begin a show.
Vote at some point tomorrow, and House Democrats will strongly oppose any legislation that does not decisively address the Republican health care crisis. We want to reopen the government. We'll continue to stand by our hardworking federal employees and civil servants, but we have a responsibility to make sure that we extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits so that tens of millions of Americans don't experience dramatically increased health care costs that's going to prevent them from being able to see a doctor when they need one.
What you need to do, Hakeem Jeffries, is get whatever it is that you've got stuck up somewhere out of that place, and we have to start rethinking healthcare altogether. Obamacare is a failure. It's time for America to grow the hell up. Tony Katz, that is me, Tony Katz Today. What's going on, everybody? 833-468-8669, 833. Got Tony. That's how you get to be a part of the program. That's Hakeem Jeffries, House Minority Leader. Of course, this legislation has passed the Senate. What they're calling a minibus as opposed to an omnibus. And it's going to keep certain parts of the government funded through September of 2026. Other parts of the government, those are going to, I think that's January. I think that's January when we're back at all of this again. Of course, it's annoying. It's nonsense, but here we are. This is what we've got. And I have no idea how much a pain in the you-know-what Hakeem Jeffries is going to be. I have no idea if there's going to be an issue getting things through the House. I thought there was going to be a real issue with the Senate. Rand Paul, he wants to protect hemp. Now, I'm not anti-hemp, mind you, but certainly I don't quite understand why we have to take a look at the continuing resolution and say, oh, by the way, weed for everybody. I know there's a difference, but could you please just go with me just for a moment? Thank you. The things you have to ask for a pass for, guys. I thought he was going to be more of an issue. I thought Senate Democrats were going to be more of an issue. But it wasn't the case, and it passed the Senate last night. So now it has to go to the House to be passed. And you say to me, but it already passed the House. No. What passed the House is not what passed the Senate. The Senate did something different. Now the House has to look at it. The House has its rules and its regulations that it has to follow. So can they get this legislation voted on by Wednesday? And I know what you're saying. They're going to vote. You mean they've never, ever, ever read it? Oh, they probably didn't read the finer points. They got told by some staffer somewhere who's all the age of 22. Oh, yeah, it's great, sir. Is that how 22-year-olds sound, Producer Landon? Did I get that wrong? That was rude. You're not 22, are you? You're 23. That's right. You're a man. Wow. Guys, I don't mean to. It's a brutal day. But I don't think they read it. They're just going to pass it. Not 100% being aware of what's in it. And does that mean Wednesday or Thursday it gets passed, and so Friday it's on the president's desk and it's all over this week? Well, if you're an air traffic controller, you hope so. If you are in the military, you hope so. If you're a kid on SNAP, you hope so. Or, I don't know, maybe Democrats will try and delay things and hope more kids starve. I don't know. I was told that Donald Trump was going to make kids starve. And then you saw Trump saying, my gosh, we should engage the filibuster so we can get this passed. And then you saw Democrats come across and say, we're putting an end to this and we're going to vote to reopen the government. And Democrats said no. So it's Democrats who wanted children to starve. They said it of Trump, but they meant it of themselves. These are the rules that they created. All I'm doing is following the rules. And anybody who doesn't follow the rules, I'm going to point at and laugh at, because this is what they said. They said Republicans wanted children to starve. Clearly, Hakeem Jeffries wants children to starve. He's thrilled and overjoyed by this idea.
As you know, the bill that will be on the House floor would fund the federal government until the end of January, some key agencies through the end of next year. What do you see happening on January 30th?
Well, I think what's going to be important over the next few weeks, once this issue is resolved relative to this particular piece of legislation, is that on December 31st, the Affordable Care Act tax credits expire. And dozens of House Republicans have been claiming over the last few weeks that they know that is something that needs to be addressed. And now we're going to have to see some action, or whether it was just talk from these House Republicans, because Democrats are going to continue to stay in the arena as it relates to dealing with the health care crisis that Republicans have visited on the American people.
He has no capacity, does Hakeem Jeffries, for any level of decency. We should be clear that it is my belief, having now had more chance to study the subject, I have made the argument that President Trump would be in favor of the subsidies. A populist, he does not want to see prices or costs go up while he's in office. Neither do some Republicans in certain districts who need to worry about midterms. All politics are local, and while the thing certainly does not work, you don't want voters unhappy that they have to pay more. There's a guy by the name of Avik Roy, and if you haven't heard him from FREOP, FREOPP, FREOP.org, where he is the co-founder and chairman, his work on healthcare policy is excellent. And I'll share with you my conversation with him regarding the complete rethinks we have to do. Subsidies don't save us. Obamacare doesn't work. Obamacare raised the price of health insurance. Hakeem Jeffries has to be confronted with this reality, that while maybe there will be Republicans who go across and vote to extend the subsidies, which all could have happened without a shutdown, mind you, we have a system that doesn't work. And we have a congressman by the name of Hakeem Jeffries who refuses to note this. This doesn't work. It was a lie. Barack Obama lied. I don't think I'm telling you anything you didn't already know. Barack Obama lied. The Democratic Party lied. They're still lying. The Affordable Care Act is so affordable that you need subsidies via tax credits in order for people to afford it. That's not affordable. That's a load of BS. That's what Obamacare is. Republicans have not done any job. I'm not going to say not a good job. They have not done any job in saying, here's what we have to do to replace this. They haven't done anything about this. They have not said, here's what we can replace it with, which I favor replacing it with the market. Changing fundamentally how we do things. You know, President Trump has been discussing the idea of, well, my gosh, let's just send the money back. Let's just send it back to the people. Trump saying he's going to abide by the deal to end the government shutdown, but he wants to put an end to Obamacare subsidies. Why in the world are we giving the money to all these insurance companies and these hospital groups? No. We should give the money directly to the people. Well, maybe we should have a conversation about why the government is giving us our money back and we're supposed to be thankful. How about we just keep our money? But more to the point here is I thought Trump was going to be in favor of the subsidies. And this can make one think he wants to get rid of the subsidies. No. He wants to change how we think about the dollars. He doesn't have the plan yet. He has the broad strokes and the concepts. And I'll be the first one to say, okay, let's build on that. Let's grow on that. And why don't Republicans consider the idea that they need to show up for the midterm saying, look at this plan. We're going to reduce costs, finally, once and for all. We're going to change the way the system works. So that's not about the insurance company. It's not about the hospital groups. It's about you. We're not going to lie to you like Barack Obama did. Here you go. I don't know if they'll be able to get that put together in a year. I don't know if they're going to want to risk that. Not sure. But it appears that as a concept, I was right about where Trump is. But Trump is saying, why are we doing the subsidies the way we're doing them? Why can't we just send the money elsewhere? I would argue, why does it cost so much? And why do we have to pay in so much that we have to beg government to give us some back? In either case, what this shutdown should do, one could argue that one of the byproducts of this shutdown is now Americans are talking about healthcare. The Democratic Party seems pleased by this idea. Why? You've done such a good job of it? Obamacare is such a good job of it? If we are now going to be addressing this conversation, if this is the result, well, then why don't we address the fact that Obamacare sucks and it was a lie? And Barack Obama is a no-good, dirty, two-bit liar fraud. And Hakeem Jeffries isn't interested in something better for the American people. He doesn't care that a whole group of Americans get good and wholly screwed. It doesn't mean anything. As long as he appeases a more radicalized base, day by day, week by week, month by month, and year by year, more and more radicalized by screaming at you for not being in favor of this Obamacare nonsense garbage. You're telling us that without subsidies, Obamacare is unaffordable. What you have told me is we can't go further down the road of government health care. I know that's going to be the Bernie Sanders line, but Bernie Sanders has never done anything with his life. He's never created anything. He is a taker from day one. A government employee, a government employee, a government employee. The only thing he ever took was a wife who bankrupted a college. That's it. Nothing else. The answer is not more of their government-run insanity. The answer is a better plan. Now, no matter what Republicans do, and here is the political reality, the Democrats are going to say, you're hurting poor people. That's, no matter what they say, healthcare will not cost you a dime and everybody's going to get a puppy. If Republicans said that, Democrats would say, great, now you're giving people allergic to dogs a puppy. You're just trying to kill them. It doesn't matter what the Republicans say. The only way to go about a change, is if it's built into other legislation so it is all kind of mushed together, the stuff that you and I hate. There's a reason that you hide the dog's medicine in the peanut butter. The other way to do this is with a massive full frontal assault where you go after every Democrat and every talking head on CNN and MSNBC with a vengeance when they lie. And you got to be able to explain your health care plan in one sentence. One sentence. And that sentence has to be something like, you're in charge of your health care, not some hospital. You're in charge of your health care, not some insurance company. Republicans believe you're in charge of your health care, not some insurance company. which de facto means Democrats think insurance companies are in charge. Now, I don't actually hate insurance companies, but if you're going to sell it, this is the way you got to sell it. And you got to be so rough and so tumble. You got to be so unbelievably aggressive with the political left and the media that they aren't able to win some kind of hate messaging campaign, because what they want is government-run healthcare and you having less and less choices, which is exactly what government-run healthcare will do. So we've got a political reality that could come to light here. But we have to get through the initial one, which is what happens if Democrats slow down this passage to end the shutdown? Bad things, man. Bad things. I'm Tony Katz, and this is Tony Katz Today. Guys, good to be with you. Can I just say, the trolls are doing a fantastic job today. First of all, Sarah, do you remember TARP, the Toxic Asset Relief Program? Old school, you. Look at that. So I didn't hear Trump talk about the Chinese nationals at American universities. The only thing I've said about this is that Trump is wrong. He's in every way wrong, and there's just no debate here. What I am like, I will tell you this, and the whole thing with Steve Bannon, who I have not heard back from, this has been fascinating because Steve has a very large fan base, for sure. The amount of people I heard from is zero. And I said, that's fascinating. I think people are at least getting to the idea that it's okay to disagree. The tent is big enough that we can all handle this. I think I think MAGAville, there are still parts of it that don't believe it, don't accept it, don't want it. I'm not down with tariffs. I don't think that this policy on China is correct at all, nor in any way. But my God, could I be happier with the border? The answer is no. I don't know how I could be happier with the border. I have no clue. And I would shame on Republicans for not talking about it more. Look what they did. Look what Trump did. Look at this. This is unbelievable. And you'll notice people aren't talking about ICE. They're not talking about it because the truth is cleaning up cities is good. It's valuable. And people want it. These are all good things. And we should be talking about them more, celebrating them more, reminding people of them more. I mean, definitely. No, I voted for Trump 3 times. I'm fine with my vote. I truly am. But I'm here to tell you, when I disagree, I'm going to disagree. And I'm starting to see more people engage that way, and I like it. I think it's healthier. I think it's better. Meanwhile, you've got questions. I've got answers. Oh, I have got the story of Jimmy Kimmel's wife. And you're like, why would you talk about Jimmy Kimmel's wife? Because Jimmy Kimmel's wife decided to talk. I normally wouldn't have brought her up, even though she's the executive producer of his show. She brought it up in a podcast, and there's a large part of me that thinks, my God, Sarah Silverman missed a bullet. She got lucky. I always thought she was done wrong. I don't know Sarah Silverman at all. But now I'm like, she is very, very lucky not to have to deal with that. Oh, yeah. All right, we're going to keep the show going. I'm glad you guys are here. There is a story that I find confusing, and I'm going to go through it with you, and I want you to tell me what I'm missing. Tony Katz. Tony Katz today. Guys, good to be with you. Find everything at tonykatz.com. The show sheet is there every single day. Check it out for yourself. It's the stories that are happening, the stories that matter. I only hope you'll enjoy it. More and more stuff coming all the time. A 15-year-old in Florida, it always seems these stories are in Florida, was charged with a felony for slamming a metal shovel onto the hood of a police cruiser with an officer inside. She was arrested in a neighborhood after an officer arrived to investigate a disturbance at her family home caused by the teen. And then body cam footage that is released shows the shovel-wielding teen in the middle of the street approaching the officer as he was sitting in the patrol car. And then she hits the vehicle multiple times. And the officer's like, are you kidding me? He then gets out of the car, pulls out his taser, orders the 15-year-old to drop the shovel and get on the blanking ground and all that jazz. And she looks a little bit like, what's the big deal? It's very weird. It is very, very odd. Now, some people took this story and said, in California, a guy was shot. The police shot a guy who was charging at cops with a shovel. Well, if someone's charging at you with a shovel, it's a weapon. I see it. Here's what I immediately went to, and I could be wrong. And as I read the story, maybe I am, but this is the first thing I went to. Guy in Washington, D.C., so upset that the streets were going to be actually safe and illegal immigrants were going to be deported, threw a sandwich at a cop and ran. No felony charges, only misdemeanor charges, and he was acquitted of the misdemeanor charge. I thought the lesson from that is you can attack a cop, it's okay. This girl only attacked the car. She gets a taser and she's getting arrested and she's being charged. Now, you understand that I believe that in both cases, someone should be charged. She's being charged with a felony. This guy is throwing things at cops and running. He's not charged with anything. I don't know what it is about this that makes me say we've got a problem here. But I think we've got a problem here. It should have been in both cases, right? She never charged the cop. She never attacked the cop. She took a shovel and she hit the hood. No, I'm not condoning it. I am saying that the cop wasn't attacked. In the other case, the cop was attacked. And so I'm at a loss here. Something doesn't add up. Also, don't waste sandwiches and don't attack cars with shovels, you weirdos. Everyone control their emotions a little bit more. Less acting out, more voting, please. Thank you. This is Tony Katz today. I don't know. Maybe I'm completely off base. Maybe I'm totally wrong. I don't know. I'm not so sure. So this is my first time having this. Master Blend 3 from Oliva, or sometimes pronounced Oliva. Don't get me wrong. I'm going to be able to smoke this. I'm not really much of an online cigar buyer. Never have been. But I am just, the pricing has gone nuts lately. And because I do it during the show. I'm like, the economics have to make sense. And so I've been finding deals. And this one was a very, very good deal. And I like all of it, as you know, sometimes pronounced Oliva. And I do the Milanios and smoke those. This is a Connecticut broadleaf, which I adore. Nicaraguan in the binder and filler. I'm happy. I am super, super happy with this. But yeah, I keep an eye on prices all the time for things that I smoke during the show. The things that I really adore and I really want to get into, well, then I'll spend any amount of money. I don't know if I have a cold or allergies. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, good to be with you. Okay. So I came across, I honestly should post this. I don't know why I find myself constantly looking at cars. I'm looking at stuff on Facebook Marketplace. I'm looking at all sorts of things all the time. And I came across, hold on. Let me see if I can find it. I came across a 1978 Cadillac Eldorado. Now there's a 19, what's that, producer Landon? Okay. There's a 1971 I'm looking at, very seriously looking at. But this was a 78. And what makes this spectacular, ridiculous, I don't even know if I can find the photo for it. I don't even know where I saw it. Hold on, let me see if I can get it. Is that it has the horns in the front. It has the freaking horns. Like the steer horns. You're like, oh, that is so boss hog. I don't even know what to do with myself. That is a joy and a treat. I can't find it right now. And what's super interesting about it is that they're selling it for a song because they claim they don't have the title. Now, I ran it by a lawyer friend who said, "Oh, I can get you a title." It's like what you call it, Big Lebowski. Give me 20 minutes, I'll get you a tow. I don't know if it makes sense. I don't know if any rational person should do this, but it's less than $4,000. I'm just that ridiculous. I am absolutely just that silly. I wish I could find it for you. Oh my gosh, it's so unbelievable. So absolutely incredible. No, I can't find it right now. If I do, I'll bring it to you. Anyway, we'll get back to it.
All parts of our electorate. We need the media, and we rarely have the media. So how this story gets told is going to be a really important piece right now. They're going to have to go up against all of Trump's media apparatus, right? Social media owned by his cronies, legacy media that always has a little bit of a skew bias towards both sidesism.
Okay. I have now heard everything. My work here is done. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. Find everything going on over at TonyKatz.com. That's Representative Summer Lee. And I do not know what show she's doing. She's doing The Ringer. I'm not an expert on The Ringer. And you heard her right there. The problem is the media is not enough on her side, and the media engages, whataboutism?
Skew bias towards both sidesism. Both sidesism always benefits Republicans. So,
both sidesism, not whataboutism.
if by 2 years the story isn't still Democrats caved, Schumer caved both on the one big beautiful bill and caved on a 40-day shutdown, then that's going to be a really hard thing to navigate.
Well, it's because you did cave, but that's not the story. What are you talking about, Representative Lee? What? On what planet does the political right control the media? Unless you are stating clearly that the legacy media, the mainstream media, of which you have total control, no longer is connected to where the people are. Is this your argument? Are you admitting that new media is where it's at and you guys ain't got nothing? Oh, you have Jennifer Welch. Well, give me 14 plastic surgeries and I could be Jennifer Welch too. No, wait. No, I couldn't. I could never make this face look like that. Now, that's a rude thing to say. That's a rude thing to say because it is never about how people look. It is about how people act. Someone could look at you, Tony, and say, well, you're just fat and you don't deserve any respect and no one should pay. People should just make fun of you and they should only be about how you look and it's not about how you think. Okay, I think that's absolutely true. We should only focus on what Jennifer Welch says. And what she says can't be repeated on radio because you can't go 4 seconds without cursing. No, I love a well-placed curse word. In my personal life, I'm excellent at it. But if you can't make an argument without it, I think that's a little odd. And if that's your whole argument, I think that's a little odd. And the way she tries to pretend that she's so tough, I think it's a little odd. But clearly, I've been told that she's the future of social media for the left. The left has finally found their Joe Rogan and Jennifer Welch. And you're saying, I'm sorry, Tony, who the hell is Jennifer Welch? She was on Bravo. She had a show where she did design work, I believe it is. And she's now turned into this. It was a couple of years. And she's now turned to this podcaster where she curses about Trump and a whole bunch of other stuff where she's just screaming and yelling and angry. It's gained popularity. People are like, oh, she's so great. I had this conversation with Amber Duke yesterday of Daily Caller. If you missed that, it's there at YouTube, youtube.com/Tony Katz. And you catch my conversation with Amber Duke of the Daily Caller. And she hosts the show Rising on thehill.com. Is this the argument that Summer Lee, Representative Lee, is making? That they admit that having CNN and having MSNBC or MS Now doesn't mean anything. I was in a conversation yesterday about next steps that I'm taking, some things that I'm looking to do. And it was a conversation about television. And it was the idea that, and tell me what you think, that you don't need TV, but people still view TV credibly. They look at television and say, well, it's on TV. There is still that. Yeah, Tony, but that might be for older generations. That's not necessarily true for younger generations at all or in any way. Maybe. But does it help you to be able to grab those people? Meaning, who amongst us would say, Fox offered you a show and you said no because who wants to be on that TV thing? See, I think there is still a value there. And if we are to discuss a lot of where clips come from that are moving the political talk world, I would say they come from TV. Broadcast and cable news, a lot of them come from that. So I think there is still a value. But clearly I have to rethink it because what Representative Lee is saying here I mean, this is one heck of an admission. Indeed.
Behind us, all parts of our electorate. We need the media, and we rarely have the media. So how this story gets told is going to be a really important piece right now. They're going to have to go up against all of Trump's media apparatus, right? Social media owned by his cronies, legacy media that always has a little bit of a skew bias towards both sidesism. Both sidesism always benefits Republicans. So if by 2 years, the story isn't still Democrats caved, Schumer caved both on the one big beautiful bill and caved on a 40-day shutdown, then that's going to be a really hard thing to navigate.
First, if we could break down just her commentaries a little bit about both sidesism. Is she making the claim that it's not helpful to Democrats if a fair story is told? I mean, both sidesism. Does she mean that, hey, Republicans think this and Democrats think that? If that's wrong, she thinks that journalism is bad, which I believe that's what she's saying. Social media owned by his cronies, the Trump media apparatus. You mean talk radio? I'm the guy who opposes tariffs as a policy. We're able to do everything over here in talk radio. We talk about things honestly and clearly, which is why, after speaking about things honestly and clearly, I don't vote for people like Representative Summer Lee. But I mean, are we the ones you're talking about? Social media owned by his cronies. The New York Times are your cronies. The Washington Post is your cronies. What possibly are you addressing here? What I believe she is addressing is the recognition that under a certain age, I'm not sure where that certain age would be, they have no connection whatsoever. They don't mean anything. And these influencers have way more power than we ever imagined. That's something. That's really, really something. I don't know what's more revelatory there. The revelation that she knows she's losing the ability to connect? Or is it the revelation that they go on CNN to self-soothe and they don't actually reach an audience that cares or knows that they're alive? That's really interesting. And maybe it'll make me rethink some of my own thoughts. Because it's a stunning admission. And so if that is the case, why then do people still continue to do this programming? I've said this of Republicans. Why any Republican goes on ABC is beyond me. Haven't you learned already that George Stephanopoulos is not to be trusted? Isn't this clear already? Why in the world would anybody do it? You know, there's a story out of Chicago that Border Patrol is going to be leaving Chicago. Immigrations and Customs Enforcement will remain. If I listen to the CNNs of the world, everybody hates ICE, everybody hates Border Patrol, and everybody thinks that we're attacking people on the streets. I will tell you, if you walk up to somebody and ask them if they have their papers, that's un-American. We don't do that here. If you know who's here illegally and you go arrest them, that's totally normal and good. People who break the law get arrested. That's the way it goes. So now I've got the CNNs and the MS Nows. They called it MS Now. And they are saying that everybody hates this. Maybe not. Who are they speaking to? The same liberal white women who hate everything? The same Berkeley feministas who hate everything? Who are they talking to? Wait, Summer Lee now makes us ask the question. They keep telling us about these things, but are these things that they're telling us actually accurate? And you say to me, Tony, you already know they're not accurate. But I have never heard them admit it so much before. They are admitting it. And that is a story. Which would say to me, we need to get more and more people connected in a social media world. We need to get more and more people connected, and we need to be more supportive of these things that are happening online. Now, we also need to be more discerning of online audiences, or I should say of online content creators. Are people putting out stuff that has value? Or are they putting out stuff that's just schlock crap, and hopefully they get a couple of clicks, and the more outrageous, the better? That's an issue. But Summer Lee's admission here? Okay. I think everyone should take very, very good notice of what it is she just said. I'm Tony Katz, and this right here is Tony Katz Today. We're back. Oh, hey, how are you? I didn't see that. I apologize. Good to be with you. I had not seen that clip. I saw a blurb of it. I'm like, I want to hear that. I heard it when you did regarding Representative Summer Lee, and I'm like, oh, that is something else. Ro Kahana saying Chuck Schumer has to go. I mean, that's just happening anyway. That is just happening anyway. I'm going to get into economic messaging just to prove that we were right about something from the very beginning. And then, the Ken Burns story. A lot of cultural pieces going on today. And of course, Veterans Day. Without question. Aganor Salif does a very, very, very nice cigar. They've been doing very nice cigars for a very long time. So good pick. This is from Oliva. This is the Master Blend 3 right here, and there it is. And this is the Churchill. Softbox press. This thing is more oval than anything else. But it's playing nicely. It's a little bigger than I thought it was going to be. I mean, this is playing as a full-bodied cigar. I was expecting more of a mid-full. I was expecting a cup more chocolatey notes. Hold on, let me see if I can find this. Let me see if I've got it. Yeah, I do. Here it is. Here it is. Check all this out, my people. Let me see if I can. I don't know if I'm going to be exposing anything. I don't mean it like that. I didn't mean it like that. Settle down. Okay, I'll get rid of that. I'll try it like, all right, we'll see if it works. Come on. There it is. That right there is the El Dorado. It's got freaking horns, people. How do I not? How do I not? Good Lord. Right? I don't know. I do not know. He doesn't have a title. How do you buy it? How do you buy it if it doesn't have a... You explain it to me. I'll do it. Okay? I don't know where I'm going to park it. It's bigger than my house, but hey, whatever. All right, let's bring it in, Landon.
Obamacare is a disaster, just like he was as a president.
How do Republicans avoid this shutdown saga from reoccurring on January 30th when this deal ends?
Well, we're trying to put in a bill, as you know, the bill or a bill, that you can never do that again. You can't just shut down the government because you're trying to renegotiate a deal that you didn't. Don't forget, when we passed the great big beautiful bill, which gives you tremendous middle income tax benefits and it gives so much to everybody. Think of it. No tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, and no tax, very importantly, on overtime. If you work overtime, you don't have to pay tax. So many other things. It gives you a deduction if you buy a car, you borrow money, you put a loan on a car, you're allowed to deduct the interest. That's never happened in our country before. That's always been for the richer people. They're allowed to take deductions. Now you can deduct interest on a car. So we have tremendous goodies in there. They like to try and disparage it. Oh, it's the greatest bill ever passed in the history of our country. That's
okay. We get that you like it. But I'm not sure if the one big beautiful bill is the greatest bill passed in the history of our country. Oh, holy hell. It's so great. Tony Katz today. Unbelievable is the only way it could be said. The only way it could be stated. It is the gift that keeps on giving. I will get into what is still going on with the shutdown because it's not resolved. The House still has to vote. It has to get to the president's desk. I'm not 100% sure how it's all going to work out. I don't know how the Democrats are going to try and delay things in the House. I'm assuming they're going to try. But I don't like the threat of air traffic controllers. And I'm not sure how you give other air traffic controllers a $10,000 bonus. But it all leads to the same thing as with the economics. There's a great opportunity for the president. I want him to take it because I believe he can deliver it. He can deliver it exceptionally well. But he's got to take it. Meanwhile, there is a host of other subjects to get to, including Jimmy Kimmel's wife. And you say to me, Tony, honestly, are we scraping the bottom of the barrel? Oh, no. No, she brought up a subject that matters. 50-year mortgages and Democrats are trying to stymie Mamdani. This is Tony Katz today. If I have to get a salvage title for this thing, I'm only paying $1,000 for it, guys. That's it. That is it. But you got to admit, that's kind of amazing. And you're like, would you smoke cigars in that? I would smoke all the cigars in that. I would smoke every single cigar I had in this right here. In this? Are you kidding? Oh, come on. How do you not? I'd keep the wrap on the steering wheel. Everything. It's just so good. It's just so terrific. I wonder what kind of personal information I just let loose there. I don't think I did. I looked. I don't see anything that would be personal information. No, I'm good. I'm good. I'm solid. Mileage. I don't have it. So you have to think it is 4 trillion miles. Let me see. Oh, wait. 42,421. You think it only has 42,000 miles? Yeah, I don't think so either. Now, is that 142,000 miles or 242,000 miles? But I do have the VIN. I do have the VIN. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to take the quick break. The radio show's in break, so we'll take the break right now. We will come back. We'll get into this economic messaging as we're waiting to see whether or not they open the government. Keep it here. Smoke them if you got them, guys. I'm glad you're here. And don't forget to go to TonyKatz.com. That's where you go. Subscribe right now. TonyKatz.com. I'd greatly appreciate it if you would kick back, relax, do the things. Keep it right here, guys. Welcome back, everybody. Tony Katz today. Good to be here. Good to be with you. We're now checking the VIN number. I think it's the VIN number. And and you put that in, and let's see. Oh, it doesn't allow me to do that. Well, in that case, I don't need your help. Thank you. It's hard to find on an older car. It's hard to figure out what the VIN is. Okay. So there are two different kinds of Eldorados. There's, how do you pronounce it? BIARRITZ? How do you do that, chat room? How do you? By the way, Mike, if you could explain to me how we're gutting the hemp law, I'll pay attention to it. Because I'm like, I don't know why Senator Rand Paul is all upset regarding hemp. So walk me through it. By the way, I don't need the caddy to be the kosher pimp. How you doing, son? Baruch Hashem, right on. Yeah, you know what I mean. See what I did there, producer Landon? That's right. I got all Hebraic hip. They call me the Hebraic hipster. That's what they... Yep. Kid Shalom. That's it. That's it right there. Lil Rebbe. All of it. All of it. Biarritz. Thank you. Biarritz. So one is the Biarritz, and the other one is the base. I assume it's the base. That's going to be my assumption here. I'm telling you, it makes no sense. Makes no sense at all that this car... I'm getting scammed and I'm walking away from it. Thank you. Oh, when weed is legal, I will open up a dispensary in Indiana called Kosher Kush. That is so happening in my life, I can't describe it. I've said this before many times. I'm Tony Katz. The show is Tony Katz today. This is from Oliva or Oliva. This is the Master Blend 3 right here. And my first time having it. It's a little stronger than I thought it was going to be. Not as, I was thinking more, the Millennium is not as chocolate rich as I thought it would be. That said, I can smoke this cigar. For sure, I can smoke this cigar. Let us get ready to do the show. Let's go. I think some people believe that I think President Trump is not capable of handling the economy. No. I think he's more than capable of handling these things. I've seen him do it. I think that the push on tariffs is misguided. It's okay to say. We're all grown-ups here. Tony Katz today. So good to be with you. Find everything at TonyKatz.com. The numbers go along with things I have been saying, and we've been saying here, that Americans don't think the economy is great. I would argue, as I have, that Americans think that there's more opportunity with Donald Trump at the helm than Joe Biden, than Kamala Harris. Of this, there is no doubt. But you have not seen enough prices go down in enough places. And as I have argued, you have not heard the argument be made with efficacy, with strength, with repeated vision and repeated measure that we are in the fight right now, and we will get there if we do X, we do Y, we do Z, and we need everybody to be on board with this. Bring people into the fight. Make them feel they're a part of it. And you will get a better result. Harry Enton is the guy who does the numbers over there at CNN. And I know what you're going to say, Tony, at CNN. except Harry Anton is very good at breaking down the numbers. And we've discussed his stuff before. He's solid on it. He is very, very good at it. This was his take on the economy.
President Trump is trying to sell the American folks aren't buying, and we can see it pretty simply here. Take a look here. This is consumer sentiment, the current conditions. Consumer sentiment can be the current conditions or it can be future expectations. We're looking at current conditions. And get this, according to the University of Michigan, we are dealing with the worst ever view of current conditions dating all the way back since 1951. This is record-breaking in the way you don't want to be breaking records. And get this, Kate, it is down 30%. Consumer sentiment of current conditions down 30% from January when Donald Trump took office.
Now, let me share at least a mistake that Harry Anton made. Whatever Donald Trump is selling, the American people aren't buying. I put forth to you there hasn't been a sales job. And a sales job is not, ooh, look at this shiny object over here, right? Obamacare was a sales job. I'm talking about honestly addressing what we're trying to get done and why these things will work. And yes, it will take time. Now, if you promised prices would get better overnight and they didn't get better overnight, well, you have to live with that. But you can go about engaging honestly with the American people. Here's the plan. Here's the strategy. Here's the work we're doing. Here's the progress we're seeing. And here is the result that we are going to get to. You can do that if you choose. My argument, I said this the other day. I have said this over the last year, that Trump and Bessent aren't doing enough of this. You have to do a better job of it, which is you have to do the job consistently, if at all. Are some things better? Absolutely. Is everything better? Absolutely not. And if you want to tell me that insurance costs are down, why is it that everyone feels that insurance costs are through the roof? Because they don't view insurance in any level of, well, my car insurance is down 5.7%. They view it as what was it up over the last years. They view it as an overall conversation regarding insurance in toto. And don't tell us that inflation is down. That dog won't hunt. It's right where it's always been. And I am not making the argument that that is specifically Trump's fault. The tariffs should have sent things all cattywampus, and it didn't. Things are still in a better place than they were under Biden. They're just not great. They're still too damn high. And if you can't accept the fact that Americans are going to tell you that something's too damn high, well, then you ain't ready to sit in the big chair. And he is. There's no question. There's no debate. There's no doubt. Why is the administration not capitalizing on these opportunities? There's a mistake being made, in my view, that instead of selling the good and explaining why everything else is coming, it's great, you just don't understand, you just won't admit it, or you call somebody like me a stock Republican, Steve Bannon. I'm honestly addressing the situation. No lies from this guy.
No bueno.
That is significant and something you can't ignore. You shouldn't ignore.
No, you should not.
Ignore to your peril. But they do not feel good about the economy. How much are they blaming this on President Trump?
Yeah, it would be one thing that President Trump could ignore it if folks weren't blaming him for it. But take a look here. Trump's policies have worsened economic conditions in America. Look at this. We're dealing with a super majority here. We're talking about more than 3 in 5 Americans, 61%, who say that Trump's policies have worsened economic conditions in America. How about worsened your own finances? Again, we're dealing with a majority here. 51% of Americans say that Trump's policies have worsened your own finances. This is double trouble for the President of the United States.
Allow me to say for the record, I don't buy the numbers. Tony, you just said that Trump needs to do more about talking about the economy and make certain admissions. Oh, absolutely true. You're going to tell me that things right now for the average American are magically worse by magnitude than during Joe Biden? You're going to tell me that people are going to respond to a poll differently than they did when Joe Biden was allegedly the president? Yeah, I'll believe that. I'll believe that in every single way. This part of the data, I believe, changes if President Trump and his team were more focused on sharing a vision and sharing successes. It isn't about lying to Americans. I don't agree with this. I don't favor this. Rather, it is about sharing the good stories, sharing what has happened, sharing what has been built. You're hearing, I said this on Sean Spicer's show last week, you're finally hearing the president do this. 401ks are up. You know, a lot of people have 401ks. And when 401ks are up, do you really think that the economic condition has worsened? Now, there's a difference between Wall Street and Midwest Main Street, and I think you have to address Midwest Main Street, which is a huge part of this conversation. But that's just it. Where is the addressing of it? Don't just say, oh, Mr. President, your policies have done great good. Nobody wants to hear that. You know, it was President Trump who said, you know, the stadium in Washington, the new stadium in Washington for the football team, it should be named after me. Mr. President, people want to afford braces, and no one gives a good holy damn whether you have a football stadium named after you or not. I am sorry that nobody on your team is willing to say those words, but those are the only words. They feel that things aren't working for them. You should address that. You're more capable than this, and you're not doing it. And that drives me nuts. I am a huge believer that the man is remarkably, remarkably capable. Trump can do two things at once. And Trump has the ability, yes, it is true, to engage an empathetic voice. I don't think he could do the grandfatherly thing. That is not him. But his entire capability comes from being able to connect with everyday Americans. He can do it. There he is Sunday, and it's the Washington game against the Lions, and the Commanders, which should be the Redskins, got the crap kicked out of him. Neither here nor there. There he is, third quarter in the booth, kind of calling the game and talking and hanging out and being a guy. He can do this. Well, go out and do this. Go out and sell your story. But you're not. You're not selling the story. And you're not paying enough attention to some things have not come down in price. And there's a real effect, and this insurance thing is a real effect on us. All of us. So when you've got these numbers from Harry Enton, I don't buy into every number. But is there more to it?
Sentiment of current conditions being record-breaking in the wrong ways, being record-breaking for the worst ever since 1951. And you're dealing with a supermajority who say that your policies have worsened economic conditions in America, and you're dealing with a majority who say your policies have worsened the folks' own finances. That is, ay caramba, no good.
Yeah, no matter what, you would prefer to not have this.
No, you would prefer not to, Kate.
What about the slice of the electorate both parties need and is what decides elections? Independence.
Yeah, okay. And, you know, oftentimes we talk about independence, and sometimes that group of voters includes folks who lean either the Republican or Democratic side. I decide to look at pure independents, okay. Those who don't lean towards either side. And look at this, disapprove of Trump on the economy. Among pure independents, we're talking about 4 in 5. 4 in 5, 79%. I'm laughing because you rarely ever see a number this high. 79% of pure independents disapprove of Trump on the economy. How about this? This is no outlier, Kate. This is no outlier because look at Marquette University, their law school. 76% of pure independents disapprove of Trump on the economy. When you put it all together with the approval ratings, it averages out to a net approval rating on the economy among pure independents of, get this, minus 58 points. Oy vey.
Oh, look at that. He wanted me to feel at home. What he doesn't tell you is that these numbers can sway quickly and aggressively. This is not a death knell. This is not the end of the road for Trump. As a matter of fact, as I said about the other numbers, I don't even buy them. The same people who disapprove of Trump on the economy aren't disapproving of Trump. They're disapproving of their economic situation. And if three things got better, they'd be like, oh, Trump's great on the economy. It is indeed that easy. These are the same people who take a look at the shutdown and say, well, Democrats are wrong here. We're with the Republicans. It doesn't take much to change things to your side, to your benefit. Doesn't. These numbers are not terminal. This is a year before the midterms, and there is nothing but daylight ahead of you. So I would not look at this stuff and say, my gosh, it's over. I look at some of this stuff and say, it's not even believable. Some is. And Trump and the administration are not engaged properly in this conversation. Do not tell us everything is great. Janet Yellen did that. Joe Biden did that. The media did that, and it was a lie. Don't do it, Scott Bessent. Don't do it, Caroline Leavitt. Don't do it, President Trump. And Trump is better at this. He's just not doing it enough, and he's not getting the backup. He's not. It needs to be more. It needs to be consistent. It needs to be clear. It needs to be, here's a success, and here's why we're doing it, and here's where we're seeing the result, and here's what we expect in 6 months, and here's why this matters, and here's why this number doesn't matter, and here's why, yes, we agree with you, this is too high, and this is what we're working on. Oh, and have you seen what I've done with drug prices? They had the big announcement about drug prices, and everyone's going to be able to get the fat shot. They're going to lose 74 pounds, and we didn't hear another thing about it. That is not a messaging campaign. And I don't know why they're having this comms issue. But they did a lot of great stuff in the first 6 months. And they're missing the boat here, and they don't have to. So, is the economy in a great place? No. Are some things better? Yes. Is the messaging good coming out of the White House? No, it is crap. Does it have to be? No. Is it too late? Absolutely not. Not a single number that Harry Ensign is giving here, while these are the numbers, not a single one is terminal. That is where you got to work from. I just hope that the Trump administration will do the work. This is Tony Katz today. Welcome back, Tony Katz. Tony Katz today. Guys, glad you're here. Good to be with you. I have some audio from President Trump that I will share with you. What in the world is that? Okay, I do not know what that is, so I will pay it no mind. Thank you. Thank you very much. A bunch on canceled flights, which is never ending. And This shutdown, if indeed it all gets worked out, we still could be a week plus before all the air traffic controllers are back on and back functioning. So I think that we're still a long way from knowing whether or not grandma's going to be able to make it for Thanksgiving. And as I've already told my mother, I think the odds are outrageously small that you're going to be able to get here. That's one man's take. Does not mean that I am right. But I truly hope that I'm not. I do hope that I am wrong about that. Glad you guys are here. I've got some video of Sonny Hostin and John Fetterman. That's always good. As I said, President Trump talking about Veterans Day, which is, of course, today and happening right now throughout the country. Your bank might very well be closed. I appreciate Ian, man, getting me the information on the hemp. So I will give that a read and then try and understand it. Hey, there are certain things I get pretty well. If I don't, I try and get information about it. And I still don't have an answer for you, Matt, regarding this. I'm asking. I got to get an answer. See if there is an answer to it. It's an interesting idea. Because 57, 56, 58, I mean, does it have to be 60 is the question. Is there a reason for that number? Are you guys really going through what gas was in my day? Are you guys really doing that in the chat room? What you paid for? And yes, I know there was such a time where gas was under $1 a gallon, and my father did indeed pay that. Thank you. Let's do some radio, shall we?
Overwhelming gratitude to more than 1 million American service members who have made the supreme sacrifice and laid down their lives for the good old USA. Generation after generation, America's warriors have left behind the comforts of home and family to face violence, evil, and death so that our families could know joy, goodness, and peace. We honor them so strongly. Our heroes have lived through unthinkable nightmares so we could live the American dream, and the American dream is coming back again, stronger than ever before, and you'll see that as the next few years evolve. They have volunteered to give their last breaths to all of us so that we could breathe free. And today we know without any doubt in our hearts that after 2.5 centuries, America stands tall because America's veterans stood so strong.
President Trump speaking on this Veterans Day, of course, originally Armistice Day. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. Find everything over at TonyKatz.com. Then you have, of course, as we've been talking about the shutdown, this was the view where Sonny Hostin is trying to pick a fight with Senator John Fetterman.
Governor Gavin Newsom called it pathetic and a surrender. Poll after poll found more Americans on both sides of the aisle blaming Republicans. Even Marjorie Taylor Greene blamed the GOP. As you mentioned, Democrats had big wins last week, so you had momentum. Why give in now? Why bring a butter knife to a gunfight? Are you willing to gamble that the GOP will negotiate on health care in good faith once the government reopens? Because if that gamble is wrong, 500,000 Pennsylvanians that you represent, their health care costs will skyrocket if you are wrong. And I believe you are wrong.
Now, before anything, you may find Sonny Hostin to be just grating. You'd be accurate. But I believe that you are allowed to ask your elected official any question. You're allowed to be tough on your elected official or any elected official. It's okay. If they can't handle it, tell them to get a job at Dairy Queen. So I do not mind the tenor of the question. I do mind that she, first of all, brought up gunfight. So violent. And secondly, she is okay with children starving. So a failed healthcare system can keep going. They told us that Trump was starving kids. So if you want the shutdown to keep going, you want to starve children. It's just that easy. It's their words. Senator Fetterman.
Well, first of all, MTG is quite literally the last person in America that I'm going to take advice or to get their kinds of my leadership and values from. And now, if Democrats are celebrating crazy pants like that, then that's on them. And now I don't need a lecture. I don't need a lecture from whether it's Bernie or the governor in California, because they are representing very deep blue kinds of populations, and a lot of those things were part of the extreme. And now remember, what really needs to win, the big win, is involving my state and other states and those things. And why have we arrived here after the election a year ago? We got to forget some of the things that cost us that election. Or now, for me, it's like, that's why I'm trying to remind people that
Every time you hear him, he sounds like a guy you want to hear from. Now, he's not a conservative, but he certainly understands what's happening. And that won't be tolerated by the sunny host in progressive left. This is Tony Katz today. They won't have any part of it. Absolutely not. You think they're going to put up with anybody who isn't 100% in destroy the enemy until the enemy is dead? Not govern, destroy the enemy. That's their interest. Let's listen to the rest of Fetterman.
Of the extremism, we can't return to those kind of things and realize we need to find a way forward. And I would like to, rather than cite MTG, I'm going to cite one of the new governor-elects saying that my election is not a green light to continue the shutdown, because I promise you, this isn't a political game. It is viewed by many of us, but the reality is 42 million Americans now not sure where their next meal is going to come from, and because we vote like that, or people that haven't been paid for 5 weeks now, and that kinds of chaos. Those workers have to borrow more than $500 million, from their credit union just to pay their bills now. So for me, we're in the middle of this.
Senator, I got to ask you to hold up a
Yeah, we know you got to ask the senator to hold up a second, because he just punched Sonny Hostin so hard in the face that most people applauded. Shouldn't punch people. That's wrong. Don't do that. You don't need to solve your political differences that way. You need to do what Fetterman just did. You don't even understand the situation. You in no way understand what it is that's happening around you. Was pretty good from Fetterman. Pretty good indeed. I was impressed. See, I don't know if I can do it like that. I should be doing it like this. That's better. That is better, but it covers part of my monitor. You don't need to know that. What's wrong with me? All right, so I have right now a series of things to get to. Some Jimmy Kimmel, some Ken Burns, and some travel. There's Ken Burns. There's that. Oh, I have some Kamala Harris that producer Landon says is gold. Oh, no, it came from producer Carl. Sorry. Producer Carl says it's gold. Okay. Gold is at 4,100 and silver is at basically $50.87. That kicked up. I wonder if it's going to kick up more once the government actually opens. Got to assume. Got to assume it will. All right, well, let's go. Let's do some more. We've got things to say, dang it. I'm glad you're all here. Thank you so much. Good to see you. I don't know. I think it's kind of a little more mellow news day because everybody's now in a holding pattern. President Trump looking to the Supreme Court saying, hey, this situation with the E. Jean Carroll, why don't you toss that verdict, won't you? Tony Katz. Tony Katz today, great to be with you. E. Jean Carroll, the writer, President Trump was held liable for sexually abusing her in the mid-90s. This was a civil verdict, not criminal. If you ask me, I think it was a bit of nonsense. When I say a bit, I mean a lot of bits of nonsense. She won $88 million in damages. He has turned to the Supreme Court, calls the claims facially implausible, politically motivated allegations. So what he is looking is for a reversal of evidentiary rulings that would then eliminate any claim that she's actually making. And the petition reads that E. Jean Carroll, quote, waited more than 20 years to falsely accuse Donald Trump, who she politically opposes, until after he became the 45th president, which he could maximize political injury to him and profit for herself. So I don't know if the Supreme Court is interested in getting involved. I don't know if they will. But there is something to be said for when the allegation broke open. There's also something to be said for what do you do with people who are so open about their hatred for the person that they're going after? We've also opened the door up to everybody engaging a defamation suit against everyone, everywhere, all the time. I mean, I'm surprised that courts have the ability to function with all the defamation lawsuits that go on out there. Do I think that E. Jean Carroll is a good actor? Me, no. I don't believe that she is. That's my take. Then we've got everybody's favorite, my gosh, what in the world is she saying now? And that is Kamala Harris. Okay, thank you very much. Today, she is being, well, very, very Kamala Harris-like.
And let's not be afraid of them. You talk about Mamdani. I mean, he's exciting this group of people who otherwise don't think of themselves as being aligned or a part or even seen by the system. You just look at the range of what we have. So many. Jasmine Crockett, who I just talked to recently. I mean, we have so many stars.
Stars. Kamala Harris believes the Democratic Party is filled with stars.
We have so many stars in our party. There are so many stars.
It's exactly the line Kamala Harris says after she looks up at the sky after a night of Lord only knows what was being drunk. Hey, look at all the stars. We have so many stars. Tell me you didn't say this after homecoming.
We have so many stars in our party. There are so many stars.
That's actually a quote of me after my third Grateful Dead show. It is unbelievable. And someone's going to tell me that she is legitimate as a candidate for president again. Could we stop? Could we please stop? No, I think the story today is about Ken Burns, the documentarian filmmaker. And he has done some beautiful work. I'll leave it to others for the sake of this conversation about whether or not all of his work has been historically sound. But the work done in bringing back to life old photos, old clippings, old any level of film, impressive and worthwhile, and I do to a great level appreciate such things. But this is a defense that Ken Burns is making with John Avalon, who is a noted Trump hater, about NPR and PBS, Corporation for Public Broadcasting, and he engages here a lie. Now, it was the Bulwark that first put this out, that first brought this to my attention, and the Bulwark are people who claim to still be conservatives when what they are is Never Trump. And Never Trump is the most non-conservative position there possibly could be. Never communist, yes. Never Trump. Well, what if he's running against the communists? What if he's running against Hillary Clinton? What if he's running against Joe Biden or Kamala Harris? Still Never Trump? No. These people are purposefully foolish and have embarrassed themselves, I think, greatly. But they put this out there as if it is a very important statement that was made by Ken Burns, as if it was a truthful statement made by Ken Burns. And it was not important, and it was not truthful. This is what Ken Burns had to say.
It's a big deal. They killed the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. Incredibly short-sighted. It'll hurt mostly rural communities. Maybe that's their intention. There'll be news deserts. Nobody will be covering the school board or the city council meeting. They'll miss not only the children's and primetime programming, but they'll miss, Homeland Security stuff, continuing education, classrooms of the air, warning stuff that comes from the PBS.
No, they won't, because they have phones. I have no idea what Ken Burns is saying here, except I know what he's saying here, and I don't think most people picked it up. Those people on the coast didn't quite pick up what was being said. There is no news desert that exists right now in the United States of America. If you have a signal, if you have broadband, you have news. And no public anything, whether it's NPR or PBS, has ever filled that void. Well, I wasn't able to get anything from my broadcast station or from my radio stations. Thank goodness NPR and PBS were there. Said no one ever, except people who think that NPR and PBS should continue to get some level of funding. Let's go back and listen again and see if you can catch what it is that I'm hearing.
It's a big deal. They killed the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. Incredibly short-sighted. It'll hurt mostly rural communities. Maybe that's their intention. There'll be news deserts. Nobody will be covering the school board or the city council meeting. They'll miss not only the children's and primetime programming, but they'll miss, Homeland Security stuff, continuing education, classrooms of the air, warning stuff that comes from the PBS signal.
Mostly rural? Why would mostly rural be affected by PBS not being there? Oh, because here in the Midwest we're rubes. I got it. That isn't what you meant? Well, then why don't we answer the question of what do you mean by rural? You mean all those farmers? Those farmers who can understand the pH levels of soil to figure out when they should be planting and how they should be rotating crops, how they're able to engage all of those lease deals and all of those contracts for major equipment and how to manage that equipment, never mind care for that equipment. All of a sudden, when it comes to news, they look at their TV and they just hit it with the rock and say, why won't TV turn on? Is this your argument, Ken Burns? You elitist, snob, son of a you-know-what. They can't get news without PBS? You think they sit around the radio at night and light their candles because they're not smart enough to have electricity? Golly jeepers, no. And they listen to NPR and say, thank goodness they're here to save us and give us all the information they decided was acceptable. Thank goodness. The same NPR that said they wouldn't report on Hunter Biden's laptop because we don't report on things like that. If there were people in the Midwest only getting their news from NPR, we would have a name for those people in the Midwest. We would call them schmucks. What a gross thing to say, Ken Burns. It is clear what the argument that he's making. These people don't have access to news. They've never been on 6th Avenue in New York. By the way, it's 6th Avenue, not Avenue of the Americas. Enough with that crap already.
We've been hit, but we'll recover. I'm worried about somebody who's coming up right now that has a lot of talent that's not going to get a grant to do that. The American experience has been put consciously on hiatus for a while. It will be revitalized. It's got an incredible back catalog that can help remind us about what it is. It's not all doom and gloom. PBS has not been cut. It will take a hit. It's had to lay off lots of people at the national level as a kind of protective measure to try to get leaner as we face.
If PBS is worthy, PBS will get sponsors or they'll get supporters. Let them compete. Let NPR compete. But no, these organizations are not necessary. These organizations that get public funding and then don't actually report news, who have an ideological basis. No, because if there's government funding for people in radio to get, hi, I don't get any government funding. I have sponsors. You can get a sponsor, go get a sponsor. And maybe the sponsor is some state program. And maybe the sponsor is some local dry cleaner. I don't know. But the idea that people in the Midwest and rural America are going to have news deserts now. You don't think they have a phone? Are they still doing math utilizing their abacus? When they start their car, do they turn the key or do they crank it up like it's the old Victrola? And oh, are they sophisticated enough to have the old Victrola? Good gosh. I do not know if other people caught that, but that was the first thing that hit me. How glaring, how absolutely hateful and elitist this is. Bless your heart there, Ken Burns. Bless your heart. I'm Tony Katz. And there are people with followings I'll never understand. Well, all right. Him amongst many others. Guys, welcome back. Tony Katz. Tony Katz today. I was just watching some stuff on social media and saying to producer Landon, there are people who have followings I will never understand. I don't have to, right? I'm just saying it's sometimes very, very mind-boggling. Let's see. Sorry about that. Had to take a phone call. Oh, Sean Duffy is speaking. Let's see what he is chatting about, which is how screwed we are with air travel.
Hey. Or they would say the controllers and pilots use very specific language. The language that they're using, the controller was using, was getting sloppy. All those numbers were going in the wrong direction, which means the risk levels are going up. And I've mentioned this before, but I will again. We saw at DCA with that air crash. It was a helicopter and a fixed-wing aircraft. In the post-mortem of that crash, we looked at data, and the data would have said there were near misses here for years at DCA. Why didn't you look at the data? Had you looked at the data, you would have stopped helicopters and fixed-wing aircraft from flying in the same airspace. You should have seen that. And so now we're looking at data and making decisions, and we have people who, for political reasons, are sniping at us, or they want to second-guess us, and making accusations of playing politics. This is the worst possible issue, aviation, that you could play politics with. And I've worked hard not to play politics, to play this very straight. I have an opinion on the government opening up, but navigating safety and making the right decisions is critical. And by the way, if I didn't look at that data and I didn't make decisions based on that data and something bad happened, the very people who are criticizing me for making the decision would be the first ones to criticize me for not taking action and not looking at data. So I'm trying to do what's right by way of the American people and keep people safe. And just to make one last data point on that, because I get passionate when you ask me about the data and what other people might say about it, is we were at 4%. Right? We reduced capacity by 4% as of last Saturday. We saw the cancellations above 4%. Right? So I didn't go higher than what the cancellations were. I was actually below the cancellations. The cancellations were even worse than what I had put into the system.
Secretary Sean Duffy, Secretary of Transportation, speaking in Wisconsin about the flight delays and the government shutdown. I'm Tony Katz. This is Tony Katz Today. Let's take it back to Secretary Duffy.
Through this crisis, hopefully get the government open and hopefully get controllers back in towers and getting America back in the skies and flying safely. So with that, listen, thank you guys for coming out. I appreciate it. And by the way, don't we have a great airport? This airport is fantastic. People who come through here, it's so easy to get in and out of the airport. Not only that, like you can get cheese curds inside, which is great. And then they say everyone's so nice.
All right, listen, we're going to be all pro-Wisconsin. I think that's adorable, but it isn't what I came for, sir. You be pro-Wisconsin. Cheese curds and brats are fantastic. What isn't fantastic is where we are with this. We're in a bad spot with time not on our side if we're talking about gearing up for Thanksgiving. I don't think it helps to threaten the air traffic controllers. President Trump saying he's going to dock the pay of absent air traffic controllers. All air traffic controllers must get back to work now Anyone who does it will be substantially docked. He then said he would give air traffic controllers who stayed on the job a $10,000 bonus. And then he was on with Laura Ingraham on Fox last night, and she said, where are you going to get the money from? And he said, I don't know, I'll get it from someplace. The man is a treat. I do not want to tell the people who stepped off the job because, I don't know, they needed the money. Don't scream at them, don't yell at them. I think just like in the economic conversation, how about being there beforehand saying, hey, we need you here. I know this shutdown stinks. I know what Democrats are doing. I think it's disgusting. I think it's evil. I think it's awful. We need you right here doing this work. Quite literally saving lives, making America work. We need you. We appreciate you. I don't think that would have been seen as weakness. I think that would have been leadership and valuable. I'm going to dock the people who left, and I'm going to give bonuses to others. I think that is a recipe for having some air traffic controllers saying, well, screw this and screw you, and I'm gone. Goodbye. Let's not make it tougher. Don't make it tougher. What happens if they don't get the government set up and back up and running Friday and it takes till Monday? Do air traffic controllers get back in the saddle and everything's working again by Thanksgiving? No one's answering that question. I have got serious questions about whether that can happen. This is Tony Katz today. So, there's never going to be interstate passenger high-speed rail, and it's not an option. It's not. We'd be better off being the Jetsons and having flying cars, Matt. This is never going to be an option. Ever. Choo-choo is not the way we do it in America. The question is, when did plane travel become so absolutely awful? Air travel was exceptional. Air travel was building and growing. Air travel was something, I always talk about, wearing a suit on a plane, but it's something that you presented for, and it was to a level opulent, and it was joyous. And then we saw the Concorde. David Marcus wrote about this. I thought it was a very smart observation. We got from New York to Paris in, 3 hours? We were going supersonic. It had the weird nose cone and everything else. And then what happened after that? We totally fell apart. Everything got awful. We didn't engage any level of progress. Complete regression. We don't even get the peanuts anymore. Lord forbid you think you're going to get a blanket or a pillow. You barely have clean seats. And the TSA makes things completely untenable. What has happened? Now we think that if we had trains, we'd be better off? No. No, that's not the way it works. Planes work and people like cars. We are people who like to drive. By the way, I love a train. And I love that kind of travel. But that isn't who Americans are. It's not what we want. We want speed and we want efficiency, or we want privacy. We'll drive ourselves, or we want to be on a plane. We'd like it to be clean. We'll sit in our seat, get us to the place, make it easy, less delays. Thank you very much. That's what we need. What the hell is happening here? Why is it that these things have fallen apart? Remind me to get into that. I will discuss that. I promise. I'll dig in deep. I got to run. The show continues over at WIBC.com. Check that out for yourselves. It's joyous. I am back tomorrow at noon. I will see you guys then. Tomorrow's Thursday. I'll share the interview with you. Secretary of the Interior, Doug Burgum, is scheduled to be on the show. So I will have that for you on Thursday. So you're going to want to tune in for that, but you tune in tomorrow and then Thursday, just that easy. I appreciate you guys. and I will catch you.